Hey everyone, welcome back to another All Terrain Trails episode. My name is Johannes, and if you've been keeping up with our Troopy build episodes, you'll know that we are building this Troopy to take on a cross-Canada trip this coming July 2023. Now, if you're somebody who's interested in helping support the creation of those videos in that cross-Canada trip, Allison and I would ask you to please head over to our Patreon page and check out our awesome membership options and to please help support the creation of that project. Now we'll get into the video. Thanks for watching. We are again working on the Troopy. In this episode, we will be installing some insulation under our wood floor here. We have all of our wooden panels cut up to drop in. We need to add a couple layers of insulation underneath. We'll show you what's going on there. And then on top of that, we're going to be building out our aluminum extrusion cabinets to house our refrigerator and our sink, faucet, countertop, all that kind of exciting stuff. So let's get into it. I'll show you what I'm doing with this insulation. All right, guys. So this is what we're working on here. This is pink insulation that's used to insulate houses. It goes in like attics, roofs. In walls, and anywhere you need insulation in your home, this pink insulation is what you would use. It's kind of like a foam board, and the R value on it to retain heat is very good. So we're going to be using it in the back of our Troopy. We got the idea from Gone Dirtin' on Instagram. We saw them kind of lay it out like this. We thought that was, hey, a great idea. So we're going to cut up this foam insulation, lay it in between the grooves, and use a spray adhesive to mount it so it won't be moving around. And then on top of that, we're going to add another moisture barrier. And on top of that, we're going to mount our wooden subfloor.
We go over here. It's a bit wide.
All right, guys. So we've got our pink insulation done. That is mainly to keep a flat surface for the wood to sit on and to add a little bit of extra insulation. It's got a good R value to keep those temperatures where you want it. Now, the next step is to install this underlayment under our wood. So this stuff is going to go on top of the pink insulation, and then on top of this is going to go our wooden subfloor. So this stuff is basically just another moisture barrier and another sound and temperature insulator. We have lots of these different layers because we want this vehicle to be as quiet and as temperature resistant as possible, you know. So I got to cut it up now to the shape of our floor panels, and then we should be ready to rock and roll. Okay, we got our first panel of underlayment glued down. Do you guys remember like hot glue from, I used to use it in elementary school on arts and crafts projects, right? You just have one of these guns, you pull the trigger, you put the glue stick in the back, it heats it up, and then out comes a nice hot bead of glue that dries relatively quickly and bonds just about anything. That's what we're using to secure this panel of underlayment down, and that's also what we use to secure the pink foam insulation down to the floor. So pretty cool stuff. So now what I'm going to do is lay my wood panel over top of this, and so I can kneel on the wood while I'm securing the next panel of underlayment. All right, now it's time to add our Sikaflex 291 sealant. So I'm going to put that on top of the underlayment, and then squish the wood down on top of it to seal it down, and then we're also going to add bolts to bolt the wood down. We got our subfloor finally finished up. This has been like months of work and planning and getting everything together, all the materials, all the times we had to run out and get more materials. It's finally done, it's finally bolted down, sealed up, so super psyched on that. Now we're working on our aluminum extrusion cabinet build that's gonna go on top of this floor. Got an exciting package here today. This is our aluminum extrusion from TNuts that we're going to be using to build the frame of our cabinets. It was originally going to be 80-20, but unfortunately they didn't ship to Canada, and I didn't really want to hassle around with that too much, so I just ordered from a company that does ship to Canada. So yeah, this is, like I said, this is our aluminum extrusion. I built a design in Google SketchUp, and then all to the specific lengths that I need for the back of the Troopy. So this should be all of our hardware and 1 inch by 1 inch bars. So let's rip into it and see what we got. One panel so far of this this aluminum extrusion from TNuts, and then I also had to go out to Home Depot again because apparently I live there now, and so I got this 1/4 inch plywood and I cut a panel here and I bolted everything together, and then I slid that wood panel in, right, as you can imagine, because there are these channels along each of the 4 sides of these, right? So you bolt it together, slide the wood panel in, and then I had to cut out some areas to actually tighten the bolts down on one side. But anyway, it's coming together. So I'll show you kind of how this TNuts aluminum extrusion, how it all works and how it all goes together, because it's a bit tricky. I've only done one panel, but so far it's been kind of tricky to get the hang of how everything goes together. These items are what we'll be using to mount the aluminum at a 90-degree angle. They consist of nuts, bolts, 3-hole brackets, and elbow brackets. Everything is fastened together using an Allen wrench. So I'm just checking out my model here. I have the cabinets built in here and then my materials here. So basically I just come over to my model, I say, okay, I want to do this piece here next. So what piece is that going to be? That's going to be measuring tape, measure that piece. That's 1'9". So now I look here and I grab my measuring tape, come to my pile of aluminum here, and I got to find a 1'9". That's not 1'9". This might be 1'9". So this is the piece that I want here. This piece is going to go, this is going to be this piece here. Now I'm going to bring it over to my table, my work table, which is actually just the piece of wood that I keep cutting up. And then figure out how the heck I'm going to mount it to this now. So you really got to kind of plan ahead when you're bolting this aluminum extrusion together, because once you have something, like once I bolt this to this here like this, I can no longer slide in a nut, because that's how you fasten it. You slide in a nut in the channel and then a bolt on top to whatever you're bolting it to, right? So once you kind of close that off and you terminate one end, if you wanna, you can't slide anything else in there, right? So you gotta really plan ahead on sliding enough nuts in that you have enough thread points so you don't have to unbolt everything. So I kind of have a feeling that I'm going to be doing a lot of bolting and unbolting, and forgot this, and gotta unbolt that again, but you know what, that's just the name of the game.
They said your wish could get you your heart's desire. If you believe when you're down, your own brain messing you up. Yeah. Looking for a clear peace of mind, so that I can see clear. So hard to find. I'm tripping on a dark side.
We're going to do a little test fit here of our aluminum model structure. We have it bolted together to a point where we can fit it in the back and see if everything's fitting properly. So let's see if it fits. Fingers crossed. All right. Wow.
It's in.
It is in, and it fits.
I guess no one's listening.
So I've got my aluminum structure here out of the vehicle, back on the bench. What I'm going to be doing now is creating more panels to fill in these gaps here. I've already got one done. It's looking really good. And now I need to create one for here. Show you how I get everything measured up, because you need to, in order to slide the wood panel into these grooves, you need to account for the width of that groove. So I'm gonna take some measurements here, transfer it onto some plywood, and then cut everything up. Okay, so I got my wood panel here. I'm going to take it over and fit it up to my model here. Slide it down in here. The channels. It's a little finicky, but with some effort, slide that down in there. Excellent. Now I need to trim the corners here, because when the wood slides down, it hits the corner of this piece here. So I need to just notch out the corners of this panel, but I just wanted to see if I had my measurements, height and width, correct. And it seems to be good, so I'd say that's a successful panel. Big step here in the cabinet build. I just finished up this panel here, and this is where the fridge is gonna sit. So I just mounted this panel straight on top. I actually haven't mounted it yet, just straight on top of the aluminum here. I'm probably gonna drill a few holes in here if room allows, and then snake some bolts in there just to secure it. Yeah, so this is the platform in which our fridge is gonna sit. So I'm gonna go grab the fridge now, and we're gonna see how well it sits on here. All right, so we're just testing our fridge on its platform along with the cabinet system here. Nothing's bolted down yet, but we just wanted to see how everything kind of looks and fits in here, because I had the idea in my head and then I put it into a 3D model, and now it's here in real life. So it's kind of cool how it's all coming together, and it's looking really well. We just finished up this panel here that the fridge is sitting on. Got these bolts in here. So now my next step is to figure out how I'm going to actually secure the fridge to its platform. I think I'm just going to take like a special ratchet strap and put it around this handle, create a mounting system here, and just basically cinch the fridge down to the platform. Guys, I wanted to show you this really cool nut system here for the aluminum extrusion build. I kind of showed you guys how everything bolts together, the nuts and the T-nuts used, and the elbow brackets and all that kind of stuff. But there's this one cool trick that you can have up your sleeve. Like I said, if you get everything bolted together and you realize, uh-oh, I closed off my opening where I need to be sliding a nut in order to screw it in. Now I gotta take it apart, pull it all apart so I can slide another one in, right? That's very annoying and it's a big hassle. But like I said, you can have a trick up your sleeve with this little piece here. It's called a Dropin TNut, and I'll show you how it drops in. Basically, the idea of it is if you have everything bolted together and you don't have an open channel, you can just drop this in the channel. It's rounded on half. It's kind of like a semicircle, half moon sort of shape. And you basically drop it in the channel and then you turn it, and then it sits in there nicely, and it gives you a thread point to bolt into, and that allows you to not have to take apart your structure if you're really far into it like I am now. And I'm showing you this because I've just ran into this issue here where I could be unbolting things, but I'm going to use one of my drop-in T-nuts. So this channel here is where I'm going to need access to threads. I have a thread point right here, but I need to put this elbow bracket like that. And unfortunately, I already have my elbow here, so I can't pull that apart, and I've terminated my channel here. So instead of unbolting this corner piece, pulling it all apart, and sliding another nut in there, I'm going to take my drop-in T-nut here. I showed you. Take that, and you can literally just drop it in. We're getting our cabinet together here. I just finished most of the panels here. I got some doors on the front of it, and I drilled in some thumb pull slots to be able to access our water system underneath. And now what I'm going to be showing you is how I'm going to build our countertop on top of our cabinet system. So I went out to Home Depot for my, I don't even know what number time, and I picked up some birch. It's part of the hardwood family, so it'll make a great butcher block. And I picked up some of this mineral oil here. I'll show you. I picked up some of this butcher block mineral oil. So I'm going to cut up this birch block to the size that we need for our countertop, and then I'm going to oil it, which is going to seal up the wood. And this stuff is food grade, food safe, so that's what you want to be using on like a cutting board, butcher block, countertop type dealio, because we are going to be using it for food. So lots happening, lots of fun. I'm going to get this countertop cut up, oiled, and we're going to see how it looks on there. Now, this is an important cut here, guys, because it's going to be our countertop, and I really would like it to be a nice clean cut, which is kind of hard sometimes with a jigsaw to get that cut. So what I'm doing here, and you know what, with the jigsaw, it has the tendency to chip the edges of your wood where you're cutting. So what I'm doing here is laying down this tape here where I'm going to be making my cut, on the edge of my cut. And what this tape is going to do here is prevent some of that chipping. Here goes nothing. It's always the hardest part. All right, so I'm working on my sink and countertop here. It's at that stage of the build, and what I'm trying to decide for right now is whether to cut a hole in our countertop, drop the sink into it, seal it up, and then run a hose, run a line from the drain to a gray water tank. That's a lot of work, and then I have to deal with a gray water tank, which I don't know if I want to do that. So that's option number one. That would be a very permanent option, but I think it would work pretty well. It would just take quite a bit of effort. Now, the second option is using a old style traditional camping sink that just kind of folds up like this, tucks away nice and neat. We've been using this thing for years. It's super handy. It folds up into pretty much nothing, right? As you can see, and then you can, when you need it, you unfold it, you pop it out, you set it on the countertop, and then you have your faucet. This is what we're going to use for a faucet. Mount this here and run a hose down to a freshwater source. It'll suck this up, and then it'll spit it out here into either of these sinks. Now, the only thing about this faucet and this sink is the faucet, if you can see that, the faucet isn't really tall enough to reach into the sink. So it's not great. You know, this sink is flexible and it's malleable, so you can kind of tuck it under the faucet like that and run your water in like that. It's not the best option, to be honest, but it's easy. So I have to make a decision here. Do I want easy and fast, or do I want more effort with a better finish? That's the thing. So I'm trying to make this decision right now because we're actually on the way out to a trip down to the Overland Expo here. We're leaving May 15th, and today is like the 8th or the 9th. So we're really getting down to the wire with this build, and this sink is like the last thing we have to do. So before that trip, we're going down to the Overland Expo and then hopefully down into Baja as well. So before that trip, do I want to go cutting up this countertop? Because I've already messed up one countertop here. The one that you saw me cutting earlier in the video, I screwed it up because I was trying to drop the sink in. I tried to cut a hole like this, and I ended up cutting it too big. Even though I measured everything like twice, cut the hole too big, and the sink, it just doesn't sit well. You can see holes around the corners. It was not a very good experience. I just don't know if I want to go all in on the sink right now. That being said, I have a good option. I think what I'll do is, for the Baja trip, I will use this malleable sink, and then for our cross-Canada trip, I'm going to go ahead and install this. But I don't know. What do you guys think I should do? Because I'm a bit torn here. Easy or more complicated but a better finish? I don't know. All right, so I talked with Allison, and I thought about it some more, and I'm deciding to go with the quick, simple solution for once on this Troopy build. Mainly because of that reason. It's quick and it's simple, and I don't have to cut into my wood here. So it actually fits pretty well, you know, if I just kind of bend it down, and that'll be it, you know. For now, I think it will do the job. So what I need to do next is stick the faucet down using this little stick pad that it came with. Stick it down, and then oil the countertop with my mineral oil that's going to seal up the wood. I'm going to seal it on both sides, oil it up on both sides, and then I'm going to mount it to our aluminum extrusion. And then we'll be done for now. We still have other things to do, but that'll be after our Baja Overland Expo trip. Stick that. That. Okay. I gotta decide where I want to mount it. And now we have a running tap. Isn't that cool? All right, so now it's time to oil the block here. Make sure it's all, as much of the dirt is off as I can get it. I've got my special mineral oil here, and the directions say to give it a quick shake, pour a generous amount on, and rub it with a soft cloth, and let it sit for about 6 hours to let that oil dry, is what the bottle says. So I'm going to do this side, flip it over, and then we'll do the other side. I don't know if that's enough or not. All right, I have done my oiling. The board turned out pretty well. I really like the way it looks oiled. This is the back side of it because I'm about to mount my aluminum onto it. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to run a bead of sealant around the perimeter here. I'm going to flip this over, squish it down so get a good glued seal. And then I also have two elbow brackets that I have left from bolting all this stuff together that I'm going to zip a few screws into so to bolt the aluminum into the wood as well. So it's going to be glued and with a couple screws held in. Let's do it. Alrighty, so now what I've done is just laid this factory rubber mat over top of our wooden subfloor just to give it a protective barrier so that the wood isn't too exposed. I'm not sure if this is going to be our permanent solution. It's going to be our solution for now until I come up with something else. I have a couple ideas, but for now we're going to stick with this factory rubber floor mat because it's cut and it's fit and it'll protect that wood like I said. So I'm going to take some screws and just screw it down around the edges to our wooden subfloor, and this will be the layer that we actually walk on. Usually I have Allison's help with this, but she's busy right now, so I'm doing this on my own. It's a bit big for one person. We'll make it work.
After moving the cabinet system into the vehicle, I secure it to the subfloor by screwing in the same L brackets we used to fasten the aluminum together. These brackets will ensure the system is secure and won't move while driving.
All right, I dropped the countertop into its mounts. Now I just need to take my Allen wrenches, tighten everything up. I can't tell you how happy I am right now to be mounting this countertop. I've waited for many months to be able to do this. It's nice to be able to actually get it done. That's one.
Thanks for watching this episode. Coming up, we get to work installing our 12-volt dual battery system and get to see if we can successfully operate our refrigerator. For just $3 a month, you can help support the creation of these videos over on our Patreon page. I'll leave the link in the video description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll talk to you in the next episode.
That means we have power. My plug here, right to our 12 volt. And the fridge on.